Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're kind of taking on the role of architects. But, instead of designing buildings out of glass and steel, we're actually drafting a brand new blueprint to totally restructure our relationship with technology. We're going to navigate this modern social maze together, taking a really close look at how our online identities and relationships are built and figuring out how to finally reclaim our focus. So, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by your screens, and let's be honest, who hasn't, consider this your personal masterclass in structural renovation. All right, so here's our structural plan for today. First up, we'll tackle the social media paradox. Then we'll move into crafting your online identity and spotting the dangers hidden in the maze. After that, we'll look at strategic digital minimalism and wrap things up with a 30-day declutter plan. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the social media paradox, looking at connectivity versus our health. So we build these digital spaces to connect with each other, right? But the data actually points to a deeply flawed foundation. It's a huge paradox. Passive social media use, just endlessly scrolling and consuming without really engaging, actually lowers our self-esteem. It heightens loneliness and that ever-present FOMO, the fear of missing out. Think about it for a second. Staring at these highly curated highlight reels of other people's online lives, all while our own mundane everyday reality happens right in front of us, it's a trap. It literally leads directly into this exhausting cycle of comparison and deep anxiety. And honestly, the visual whiplash of our digital lives is just stark. Look at this. A massive 72% of US teens report that they often, or at least sometimes, feel completely peaceful when they do not have their smartphone. But on the flip side, 44% say that simply having their phone actively makes them feel anxious. I mean, wow. We're literally carrying around these little devices that cause verifiable anxiety, while actual peace is found the second we disconnect. It's also super vital to note exactly who is being hit hardest by this. The research highlights that teen girls, in particular, are way more likely than boys to report that they're spending far too much time on their phones and on social media. They're acutely aware of this overwhelming screen time paradox, and they're disproportionately affected by the toxic comparison culture it just breeds. Moving right along to section 2, online identity and how we're crafting our profiles. Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast between our curated online representations, the perfect angles, the filtered realities, and the actual reality of our true selves and our core values. The pressure to maintain this flawless facade online is just immense. But our goal here is to bridge that gap. We really want to encourage you to craft a positive digital profile that actually reflects the real you, rather than some stressful, impossible ideal. But to do that, we first got to understand the materials we're building with, right? And that brings us to your digital footprint. Simply put, this is the permanent trail of data, interactions, and content you leave behind on the internet. Every single comment, every like, every picture, it's like a brick in the foundation of your online identity. And truly understanding the sheer permanence of this footprint, that grounds our understanding of why intentionally crafting a positive, authentic digital profile is an absolute necessity. It's not just a nice idea anymore, it's essential. So here's a highly practical tip to help manage that footprint. Just a really simple rule of thumb to make sure your online identity genuinely reflects who you are in the physical world. It goes like this. If you wouldn't say it to someone's face, do not type it in a text, and definitely do not post it on social media. It's such a fundamental decision-making process, but it instantly filters out the toxicity and aligns your online behavior straight up with your real-world values. Okay, dropping the architect metaphor for just a second, let's get into section 3, dangers in the maze, looking at online hazards. Because unfortunately, many young people face some deeply serious realities and hazards out there today. We're talking cyberbullying, online luring, self-repair exploitation, the non-consensual distribution of intimate images, sextortion, and exposure to sexually explicit material. And listen, these aren't just buzzwords, okay? They are profound threats to mental and emotional well-being. Recognizing that these dark corners actually exist within the maze is the absolutely critical first step in personal protection and just being a healthy digital citizen. So the absolutely crucial point here is that you gotta have an emergency exit plan. Navigating these dangers requires support. If you or someone you know ever receives inappropriate messages, pictures, or experiences literally any form of exploitation, you must know that seeking emotional support from trusted adults is always your safest and most powerful move. Open communication is basically your ultimate safety net. All right, let's pivot a bit to the solutions in section 4, strategic digital minimalism. First up, we really need to clear up a major misconception. Digital minimalism is not about throwing your smartphone in the ocean or suddenly becoming anti-technology. No way. As you can see by the definition, it is a deliberate, values-driven approach. It's entirely about adopting intentional technology habits to ensure that your digital tools are actually serving your life objectives rather than just acting as these bottomless pits of distraction. It's about you taking back the control panel. And a core tactic in this minimalist approach is something called digital friction. This is inspired by the author Cal Newport's concept of deep work. And basically, digital friction means deliberately introducing obstacles to accessing non-essential tech. Think of it kind of like putting your junk food on the very top shelf of the pantry, tucked way behind some heavy boxes. By adding these small hurdles, like, say, logging out of your apps after every single use or moving your social media completely off your home screen, you create a buffer. And that buffer prevents that mindless, automatic scrolling, significantly enhancing your personal focus and productivity.
Which brings us to our final step, Section 5, the 30-day declutter, all about resetting those habits.
Let's see how this builds into a true lifestyle change. Step 1. You temporarily remove all non-essential digital tools for a full 30 days. You literally strip the house back to the studs. Then, step 2, while nature abhors a vacuum, right? So you fill that newfound free time by engaging in much higher quality analog activities. Go read a physical book, learn a new skill, actually have some face-to-face conversations. And finally, step 3. After the 30 days are up, you don't just go back to normal. You reintroduce your tech slowly, creating clear operating procedures for yourself. Basically, every app or tool only gets let back into your life if it proves it earns its place by actively supporting your core values.
As we wrap up our blueprint for today, I want to leave you with this really profound final thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own digital life. Are your online interactions contributing positively to your well-being, or are they quietly causing you stress and anxiety? I'm challenging you to identify just one immediate change you can make today. Maybe it's adding a little bit of that digital friction we talked about, or maybe it's going all in and setting up a 30-day declutter. Whatever it is, take that one step today to step out of the digital maze, reclaim your focus, and start fostering genuine, completely stress-free connections. Thanks so much for joining us.